Hello and welcome. One of our early inaugural editions of Coach's Corner for college softball. You know, I get a lot of parents asking me for softball content, and I could think of no better place to start than NCAA Division III national runner-up, currently 28-7, the Belhaven Blazers head coach Kevin Griffin. Kevin, thank you so much. I know, first of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we get that out of the way, but I would love for you to kind of get us kicked off with what is NCAA Division III softball like in the South? I know what it's like up here in the Northeast, but you know, you're getting a lot of quality athletes down there in greater Mississippi area. But tell us a little bit about NCAA Division III softball, specifically at Belhaven.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Division three institutions in our part of the country. We've got Millsaps College, which is 2 blocks away from us. And outside of that, we generally have to travel minimum 3, 4 hours to find the next Division three school. So I feel like that's a good thing for us because good players in this part of the country who want to go Division three that are academic minded, even though we have a lot of players that come to Belhaven because of our softball program, and then they can also get a great education. We have to go 3 or 4 hours to find the next institution to play. So our conference is spread out. We have teams in Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee. And so we travel a pretty good ways to play conference games, but that gives the athlete a really good experience as well to be able to go to some places they might not otherwise be able to go to.
You know, one of the things I want to start out with as a former Division III head coach myself, and I understand, and you just talked a little bit about from an academic perspective, but NCAA Division III from an athletic perspective, really not a lot different than whether it's Division II or Division I athletically. But as far as the balance of the college experience, collectively, that's where NCAA Division III athletics and academics shine. It's about the overall college experience. Talk a little bit about that when you're recruiting academic orientated student athletes.
You know, the cost of 4 year private college is high across the country. I feel like at Belhaven, we're around $40,000 before any academic scholarships are given. And I think we're one of the cheaper D3 schools in the country from that perspective. But as far as recruiting, we bring in a lot of junior college transfers just because our JUCO transfer money is so good. If you're in the JUCO Honor Society, which is Phi Theta Kappa, you get a ton of money to come to Belhaven. And then there's a lot of other different types of grants that you can get to make it really, really affordable to go to a Division three school. So that's kind of been our approach. Probably 70% of my team over my 15 years here has been JUCO transfers, but we have sprinkled in the occasional incoming freshman here and there if we really thought they could come in and make a big impact in our program right away.
So that's a good place. You know, parents want to kind of have a good understanding of the caliber and the quality of play. And when you mention JUCO student athletes, that from a softball perspective, they kind of have an idea of with regard to time management skills, preparation, daily disciplines, and routines. Talk a little bit about the difference between that JUCO transfer that's coming in versus the high school athlete. They're a little bit more plug and play and have an idea of the landscape they're about to participate in.
Yeah, I mean, they've been on the field at the JUCO level. They've had that college experience. We've got a really good JUCO league in Mississippi. It's Division two JUCO, but it's still a really good league. They branch out and play a lot of the Alabama and Texas JUCOs that are the Division one programs, and they compete very well with those schools. So we feel really good if we're going after a junior college player in our state or any other state for that matter. We feel really good that they're going to be able to come in here and step on the field and help us impact our program immediately. And we want players who can come in and play and help keep us on the national scene and highly ranked and help us make a run for conference and national championships.
So A lot of parents want to know from, the head coach's perspective, when are you identifying potential fits for the Belhaven program? Is that when they're juniors or seniors in high school? When are you beginning to identify or correspond with potential Belhaven Blazer student athletes?
Yeah, we start watching players when they're in high school. The players who are wanting to be recruited in eighth, ninth, and 10th grade, they've all got Division I on their brain. So we kind of let that simmer a little bit. And when those players realize that those opportunities aren't going to be there, or they might have the opportunity to go play at a Division I program like a mid-major or somewhere, but they may not get on the field right away. And then I feel like we have a better opportunity to get those types of players. But I want to be very clear: there are a lot of different levels of Division I softball, just like there are Division II and Division III. You've got your really good, and you've got your middle ground, and you've got your really bad. I feel like we could compete with the majority of Division I programs across the country outside of your Power 4 conferences. And then you've got some really good schools that make the regionals every year, like Louisiana and Southeastern Louisiana and those schools. It would be a challenge to play against those schools. But that's kind of when we start looking at players while they're in high school. And then we hope they go to junior college, and we can already have those players identified before they even get to junior college. And then we watch them for a year or two to see if they're a good fit for us.
Talk about the role of travel or club. I don't know what they refer to it in softball, but is that something that your staff, are you out at some of the bigger summer tournaments and events and identifying potential fits for your program?
We are. All the big tournaments in the South, we don't generally travel to Colorado to the fireworks or Sparkler. And, my philosophy has been, why are we going to travel 10 or 11 hours to watch players play that we could watch them when they're right here in our backyard? And, a lot of times I think the travel organizations get it wrong too, because they take off and go 10 and 11 hours away to play games to get their players noticed, when they could stay in this general area and actually get noticed by schools that those players would probably be more willing to go to, and probably attend schools like that in the general area anyway. So we go to all the big showcases from here to east to Birmingham, south to New Orleans, Baton Rouge. We go to Memphis, and then Atlanta. That's about as far as we go, about 5 hours from our campus.
Are you looking, so if someone were to be watching this and say they were from the West Coast, the Northeast, are those types of student athletes, obviously now with the new landscape of NCAA athletics, a lot more student athletes across the country are looking for that right fit? Do you offer camps, or how do you generally correspond with athletes that may be interested in the Belhaven program?
Well, we've had a lot of players over my time at Belhaven from California. We've had players from Kansas, a lot from Texas. So, um, I've got people all over the country that I trust that'll call me and tell me about a player, whether it's an umpire, whether it's another coach at a higher level, may not be able to play at, a school like a Power 4 school, but those coaches call us and tell us about players. So we have a good network across the country, and if we get word that somebody would help our program, we follow up, and then we find a way to get them on campus and let them see our campus and let them see more about our program. So we're coast to coast when it comes to recruiting, and we don't limit it just to players here in the South.
So I would kind of, having lived in greater New Orleans for 6 years while my boys were going to college, for me being a Yankee, and I don't like that word because I'm not a Yankee fan, I'm a Red Sox guy, but, you know, tell people what makes Belhaven, the campus, the environment, the school, really, why are you there, and what makes it kind of special for a potential student with regard to those 4 or 5 years as they're going to be a resident of that university?
Yeah, you can come to a place like Belhaven, small college atmosphere, but it's really a family atmosphere. Whether you're an athlete or you're just a regular student, it's a family atmosphere. As far as our softball program is concerned, we give our players a ton of free time. We don't shove softball down their throat 24 hours a day like they might get if they go to a school that's bigger. But we usually give our players the weekends off in the fall. We only practice for 4 weeks as a team by NCAA rules. So players that don't want it to be a job or a business, this is a great place because they can come get a great education, have plenty of time to work on their academics, but then when it's time to get between the lines, our program has got such good notoriety that players know we mean business when we step between the lines, and they work their tails off. And I think they work so hard because we do give them a lot of freedom when they get here and a lot of time to go home on the weekends and that sort of thing. But come spring, we're ready to roll, and we put the work in to do what it takes to try to stay, in the top 10 or 15 of the country and make a run at a national championship.
So correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not up to speed fully on my softball, but you did have a nationally prominent pitcher who was graduated last year but is now part of your coaching staff. So, when you start to talk, and I used to try and get my athletes to understand NCAA Division III doesn't mean you're lesser of an athlete. It just means you're competing versus a more diverse, more academic orientated student athlete base. But talk a little bit about the caliber of student athletes that
Yeah.
you've had during your 15 years at Belhaven.
And my pitcher, Kennedy Caruth, last year, well, she pitched for me for 4 years, but she's my pitching coach now. She could have pitched for anybody in the country, I believe. I mean, we go play LSU in the fall, and Kennedy has done really well against an SEC caliber program. I think she could have gone and played anywhere. My third baseman that I had here for 6 years because of COVID, she got 2 years back, Allie Gordon. She was from Georgia. She could have gone to a whole lot of Division I programs, but she chose to come to Belhaven just because of the family atmosphere, the freedom, and how well we've competed over the years. She wanted a chance to come here and win a championship and put a ring on her finger, and she got 5 of those while she was here. Kennedy
Wow.
got 4 while she was here. So whether it be conference or a regional championship or a super regional championship, um, you know, players can come here and get on the field immediately, compete for championships, and have a great experience. So, one thing I say to players all the time: don't just limit the level. Go on campuses at different levels and go to camps. I work camps at places like LSU, and those coaches are some of my best friends in coaching down there. And they'll call me if they know of a player and tell us that we need to come watch a player. And why don't you come work our camp so you can see this player? So we have really high caliber players. I will mention another school, even though this is a Belhaven podcast, but Morgan Fry, she was the first baseman at Berry College in Georgia the last few years. She's the first baseman for Ohio State right now. She
Wow.
transferred after last year and went to Ohio State. She's killing it. Like, she's one of the best hitters in the Big Ten. And so she came from a Division III program and could have played anywhere out of high school as well. So you have players like that all across the country in Division III, and it's a really good brand of softball.
Kevin, you bring up a great point because we hear so much about it in baseball, the transfer portal, guys going from NCAA Division III up to Division One to Division Two. How much of a role does the portal play with regard to softball?
At our level, it doesn't play a lot. I think a lot of people try to take our players. Our players get calls, and whether right, wrong, or indifferent, and by the rules, whatever. But I don't worry too much about it because the players always come to me and say, "Hey, coach, I was contacted by so and so," and my first question is, "Where are you looking to leave? Are you wanting to go somewhere else?" And they're like, "No, sir, we want to stay right where we're at." At that point, I don't really worry about people trying to come after our players too much because I think our players know we're invested in them, not only as athletes, but as people. And we treat them right and we give them a great experience. So we don't, we don't gain a lot of players in the transfer portal. I might get 1 or 2 that, that call me every other year. But as far as us losing players, we don't lose players. Not at the level of Division One and Division Two does.
So if you're a prospective student athlete watching the video, listening to the podcast, are you going to invite someone to a camp potentially? Let's say they're out of the geographical comfort zone, that maybe mid-Atlantic, Northeast, etc. Do you encourage them to come to a camp? Do you want them to send you a schedule? What's the best way for a student athlete to reach out to you to be able to see if they might be a fit as a Belhaven Blazer?
Yeah, just shoot us an email on our softball site. Excuse me. On our softball site, we have a softball page, and you can find all of our email addresses. Mine personally is the letter K, Griffin, Griffin, at belhaven.edu, and that's Belhaven with one L. So Griffin at belhaven.edu. You can shoot us an email, send us a schedule. We'll come to you. You don't have to come to us. We'll come to you. We don't do a ton of camps on our campus right now because in the past we haven't really had the facility to do it. We just built a $3 million facility. We're going to start hosting camps all summer long. But even if you come to a camp at another school in our area, we usually are there working those camps. So just because you go to one campus doesn't mean you're not going to get looked at by a multitude of different programs while you're there. So find a way to get on college campuses, and then you'll get seen.
Want to let parents know that the softball blue book, very similar to the baseball blue book, going to have all the information not only for Coach Griffin but for Belhaven, as far as the contact information, both in the podcast as well as the YouTube and other social media platforms. Coach Griffin is also available on X, so we'll make sure that you have access to all that information. Want to get out there, Kevin, because I think it's really important from a parent's perspective. Give us some of the qualities when you're out looking at student athletes, and I know you know this as a parent of a student athlete. Give us some of the attributes over and above the basic hitting metrics that you're looking for, whether it's foot speed, arm strength, athletic ability, athletic movement. What are you looking for? What kind of advice would you give young softball athletes that aspire to play at the collegiate level? What should they be preparing for when they're in your presence?
Don't take a play off.
Bingo.
Play the game hard. Play the game the right way. You hit a ball hard and deep. Run hard out of the box. Be thinking too whether you think it's going out of the yard or not. I look at effort and attitude more than I do anything. And can you be a great teammate? If you can be a great teammate and be humble playing this game, I feel like you can go a long way in the sport if you're talented. You got to have talent. Obviously, we recruit talent, right? But all that other stuff goes along with it, and it's the same thing that I try to instill in my own kids. To people are always going to remember how you made them feel, and if you treat teammates kindly, they'll remember that more than any result that you ever get in an athletic contest. So we're looking for those types of players to bring into our program because I don't do drama. I don't handle drama, and I don't put up with it. So we try to make sure we don't have to deal with that before they get here.
I was going to end it there, but I have one question that you just kind of talked about, and I want parents to get this. Talk about the team, the we versus the me. We get so caught up in the metrics and analytics, and in baseball, it's exit velocity and velocity, arm strength wise. Talk about as a college athlete, it's a long season when you put the fall and the spring together, and there's going to be ebbs and flows, ups and downs. And you really need to be more of the we mindset as opposed to the me mindset, particularly at the college level. Can you talk a little bit about that when you're getting maybe that hot shot freshman that comes into college and getting them to understand the team is always going to be more important than the me?
Yeah, you're always going to need your teammates if you want your team to be successful. You can't do it by yourself. We've had players come in before that might have been a little competitive with other players because they wanted to be the best player in the program. Well, you need a lot of best players in the program if you're going to be, and if you're going to be good. And the teams that are led from within, those are the best programs. You look at all the top ones across the country right now at every level, and you've got leaders within your team. We have a big roster because Division three institutions, a lot of schools want you to have those big rosters, and if you have 25 people on a team, there's a lot of people that are sitting right. So if you don't have team dynamic players, you're never going to be successful. My motto with my team, Walter, is I want to have 100% of my team giving 100% effort 100% of the time. And is that really something that can be attained? Probably not when you talk about 100% of the time. But if you can strive to get close to that, you're going to have a pretty good team if everybody's giving that effort, whether they're playing or whether they're sitting the bench or up on the rail cheering for their teammates. So I think it's very important to get those we greater than me type players.
Well, Kevin, I'm going to ask you this last question because something just resonated. And I had somebody that asked me this question specifically about softball. You alluded to the fact that several of your players had the skill or the ability to play, at possibly a Division One or P4 program. Can you talk a little bit about, and I always discuss this from a baseball perspective, when you are in an NCAA Division Three super regional, or the championship, uh, the caliber of competition, one could make an argument, is really, it's all level. The difference is the depth, whether it's a pitcher or depth from a hitting perspective. What is the caliber of competition like once you get to a super regional and obviously the World Series?
Man, it's very good. Really, in our conference, we had three teams last year that made the national tournament from our own conference. There was only one other conference in the country that happened. I think it was the ODAC up with like Virginia Wesleyan and the teams in their league. But I mean, we're in a really good league for softball. But when it's so hard, I mean, everything has to go right to make that run. We played 19 games on the road in the postseason last year. We played 0 games at home in the postseason. So that's tough, and a lot of things have got to go right. And we made that run all the way through to the final championship series. We won game one of the best 2 out of 3, and then East Texas Baptist beat us twice on day 2. Um, it's very difficult. I would equate it to uh, some mid-major leagues. I would equate it to the top level of Division two. When you get to the regional, super regional, and national tournament of Division three, there's not a whole lot of difference in Division three, Division two, and the mid-major leagues. Really isn't.
Well, Kevin, I want to say thank you again. Happy birthday. I know this is a busy week for you, and obviously, following your son. I appreciate you taking the time. Kevin Griffin, head coach, Belhaven Blazers. I encourage you to follow on social media. All of their information will be located in the description below. Kevin, best of luck in the remainder of the season, and obviously with the regional and super regionals ahead.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me on.
You're very welcome.